So today, I'm going to be talking about how codependency has sort of just ruined a lot of different relationships in my life. Also, I just moved into my new apartment. Everything is like going pretty well so far, and yeah, where everything's going well. But codependency is a really hard thing that has sort of like really hit me over the last like month or so, and it's really hit how much it's affected my life, and yeah, it's been a huge part. The earliest, now that I know what it is, the earliest moments of codependency I remember were in the beginning of high school, when a lot of my friends were like starting to experiment with like drugs and stuff, and I was young. Like alcohol like ruined my childhood with my stepfather drinking a lot, and yeah, so anything that like altered your mind at that point in my life was really just not it for me. I was terrified of it. I was terrified of me trying anything. I was terrified of me drinking, about me smoking, about anything, because I was under the impression that I was going to be like my stepfather, and I was not going to be able to handle that. And why would I put anybody through that type of treatment? And yeah, so it was a big thing for me, and I used to judge all my friends, and I used to be, oh, watch out, Noodle. I used to judge all my friends for their decisions. I used to like call them out. I used to just be not the best friend to them because of their decisions. And kids in high school, they don't want to hear that, you know. They don't want to hear your issues. They want to have fun and have a friend who will go and have fun with them, and I wasn't that. So it really affected some of my relationships growing up that I can remember. And then later on, now, like I said, now that I know, I definitely have seen my mom be codependent to my stepfather the whole time. My stepfather was an alcoholic, verbally and mentally abusive, physically abusive to things in our house, but not to us. Like, he would like smash chairs, he would break things, punch holes in the walls, all that jazz, but never actually physically harmed any of us. There were a lot of like threats and a lot of like close calls, but nothing actually that would hurt physically any of us. But yeah, and so that was a huge thing for me as well. But everyone says that codependency starts when you are basically told at a certain age that your emotions don't matter anymore. Not that they don't matter, that's the wrong way of saying it. That they're not the most important emotions that you have to deal with at the moment. So when I was a young teenager, my stepdad was going through the roughest part of his alcoholism, in my opinion. And so when I got home from school every day, it wasn't my job to take care of myself. It was my job to take care of him and to make sure that he was happy, and to make sure that he wasn't drinking too much, and to make sure that no one bothered him. We were making sure that he stayed calm, cool, and collected, so nothing went wrong. We were tiptoeing, we were sugarcoating everything. It was rough. And my mom was a nervous wreck the whole time because she knew how he could be. And it just wasn't a good thing for any of us young kids to be involved in. And so supposedly, from a codependency standpoint, in the future, when you have a problem, an emotional problem that you are trying to handle, you handle it from the age of which you did not continue growth at. So when you go into that fight or flight or freeze response, you start reacting from the age that the trauma happened, right? So I'm not sure when exactly that trauma happened in my life, but I'm guessing it's going to be somewhere between the ages of 11 and 14 years old. So when I have an experience in my life, I react like an 11 or 14-year-old. I throw a fit. I judge people. I react from love and hate and very quickly. I get really frustrated and like upset about something very small because I was not taught how to deal with my emotions at that point in time. Again, like these are just things that I have read and things that I have like watched other fellow YouTubers talk about, and some of them being like doctors in psychology and everything. But it's definitely been a eye-opening experience. And then after that, all my serious girlfriends at the time definitely went through some codependency issues, would react very intensely for very small things. Like, for example, like my grandmother passed away when she was 48 due to cancer or lung disease related things, and due to smoking. And basically every girlfriend that I've ever had, every serious relationship that I've ever had, all the females end up were smoking at one point in time, smoking cigarettes. And that was a big thing for me. And so when they would say that they weren't smoking, and then I would find out later that they were, and they were just hiding it from me or something, I would get very upset. I would get like very angry to the point where I would like back off and like just shut them out and like get so frustrated. And it was just not a good response from me. And it's because one, it was such a serious thing, because if they're going to be around in my life for a long time, I don't want them to die at 48 years old. Like, right now, like where I am right now, that's only 12 years from now. Like, that's insane. That's so fast. I want to spend my whole life with my person, right? And so having something like that be lied to you about just because you want somebody to be there for a long time and not pass away like your family member did, it's rough. People aren't seeing that. And but my reaction was not good. If they didn't want to do that and it was that important to me, I should have just walked away and been like, it wasn't meant to be. Obviously we're not together now, so definitely wasn't meant to be anyways. But there were times where just like little things would happen and I would get butthurt about it and take it personally. Little things. I would, like, someone would tell me something and I don't know, just giving an example, like that some guy like hit on them at the gym or something, I don't know. And so I would piece together in my head all the rest of the information, which is a really humongous thing about codependency. You try to piece together missing pieces of information. So, and the thing is, you're assuming them all, but in your head, it's like reality. So, like some guy hit on you at the gym, and so my brain, someone else would be like, oh, that's just a guy being a guy, like, I don't know, he thought you were attractive. Like, you are attractive. Or I should have been like, oh yeah, like that's, like, it's not your fault, it was him who did it, right? He came up to you, you had no part in this. But my brain would go to the whole, like, oh, you were probably doing this, which made him do that. And then you were probably, it went to accusatory situations right away, right? And then that has a lot to do with the fact that in codependency, another huge thing is that you do not believe that you are enough. So you're always trying to be what that other person wants. And so not only do you not feel like you are enough because of the fact that that you aren't enough, but you also think that they don't believe that you are enough. So maybe they wanted that guy to hit on them. Maybe, and that's where your brain starts to go. You just start to go into these wrong scenarios that aren't true to anything but your imagination. And it's just crazy. It gets so difficult, and it feels so real when it's happening too. That's the biggest part. And so the whole, like, not good enough thing, it like digs in you. And like every relationship, I tried to be what that person in the relationship wanted. Like, I would, if one person liked a certain thing, I would do that certain thing. Like, for example, if a girl is at the beach and sees a guy with like a shaved chest, and me, I have hair on my chest, right? I've literally done this before. My ex said that they thought that the guy on the beach with the shaved chest was attractive, and I've never shaved my chest in my life, but I was so worried about being good enough that I went home and I shaved my chest. It was one of the weirdest decisions I had ever made, but I did, and I regret it now. But it's not that big of a deal. Hair grows back, but it was just a very like low point, right? Like, why is my self-confidence that low where I feel like I have to do that? It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, and there have been times where an argument would happen in a relationship, and I would think that a relationship argument was at like a 4, and then my partner would think that the argument was at like a 6, right? And that is probably due to the fact that my family, when I grew up, I had a lot of arguing in my household. I had a lot of people yelling, a lot of people making threats that were completely empty, like, I'm gonna leave tonight, I'm never coming back here, we're done, blah, 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 blah. All that stuff was said, but nothing actually meant anything. People, every night, they were still there in the morning. It was like a in the moment blurt out of information that they didn't mean. But not saying that every time it got that bad, but like in an argument that I would have that was like a 4 in my opinion would be like a 6 in someone else's opinion. And so when they would be like, hey, I need space, I need to like go take a breather before I say something I don't mean, that would make me go into a codependent reaction and be like, what do you mean? We're just talking. We're not even having a big fight right now, and you want space? Do you think we're yelling at each other at the moment? And because I wasn't yelling or anything, but like them needing space is their own opinion, right? Who am I to say whether they need space or not? But in the moment, codependent people don't want them to leave because they don't know if they're coming back, because again, you don't feel like you're good enough. You feel like you're going to lose the person at all times, and you don't think that you're worth them coming back for. So giving somebody space in a relationship is really, really difficult. It's something that I've had to work on a lot over the last like 10 years or so. Watch out, get out of there. And so, yeah, and so a lot of my relationships have not worked out because of that. And then also, um, I'll get into this more later, but my current marriage that I'm in is falling apart right now due to the fact that of the same codependency thing. Um, and a lot of the stuff was sort of like not talked about. And um, like my partner, I believe that they had some sort of codependent issues of their own for a while, and slowly over time in their own space have been able to grow and sort of overcome them. And I was not doing the same things. And regardless of effort or communication, it doesn't matter. If once things are over, things are over. So, but yeah, it's really difficult. Codependency, if you don't figure out what caused it and how to like apologize and forgive that like inner child that was hurt at that moment and give them grace, you might never make it through, right? Being able to talk to that 12-year-old Chris and being like, hey, like you were extremely responsible for people who you shouldn't have been responsible for, right? It was not your responsibility to take care of a grown ass man who was like ruining your childhood, ruining your life every night after 6:30 p.m. That was not your responsibility. And my mom, being as codependent as she was, my mom thought the same thing. She thought that why would she leave him? Who else is going to love her? Like, who else is going to stick around? Who else is going to make empty threats and still be there in the morning? Is anybody? I don't know. She didn't believe so. I hated the fact that she stayed with him, but there was nothing I could do. She wasn't going to listen. And all I did was stick around as long as I could to try to make it so her life was as comfortable as possible, right? Because what other options do I have? Call the police when he's drunk and get him arrested, I guess. And I don't know. But it was a lot of responsibility, and it was just like too much for a young kid who just wants to play baseball and do well in school. And I had undiagnosed ADHD, and I was in learning whatever the heck they're called, as people call them, sped classes, whatever. Sorry if that's not politically correct, but yeah, it was just a really hard time. And because of her codependency, she let him do whatever the hell he wanted. So many aggressive times where we were all running out of the house, like trying to make sure that we stayed safe. I don't know. And I don't want to do that to my family in the future. I don't want to make them feel like that. I don't want to put them into a situation that they need to run away from. I don't want to be the person causing the situation that makes them need to run away either. And the only way I can do that is by doing this and talking here. But yeah, I appreciate you guys listening, and I hope this finds somebody who can learn from this as well, and like take the time to dig into themselves and see what they can learn, because just over the last 5 weeks I've learned so much about myself, and I've connected with a few of you on here as well, so I really appreciate it. But In the end, codependency is hard. There are so many things that people do, so many symptoms of codependency, and trying to realize them, take a deep breath, realize what you're doing, being aware of your decisions, and try to just rewrite the way that you handle each situation. And being like, wait, I'm not supposed to think like this. This is my trauma talking right now. This is my little Chris telling me what to think and how to react. But I'm not little Chris anymore. I'm 36 years old, and I need to react like a 36-year-old man. And that is the goal now, is just to see the triggers, see the signs that I'm moving towards that direction, and just take a breath and put on the brakes and realize that everything in my surroundings are way more important than what I'm about to say or what I'm thinking, and to just center myself. And I really hope that's something that I can do in the future, and we can just take it one step at a time. Thank you so much for listening. Love you guys.